So yeah, on this episode I want to go into the wiring. Again, this is not a hot rod with a lot of functions. This is more a rat rod and I want a very simple wiring, so I went with a cheap kit. If you wire a truck, a hot rod, or an original car truck, you want to go and spend some extra money, because these cheap kits really are missing out on some items, and by the money you have in your truck car, you want to go the extra mile and get the better version. But for this you only need a few circuits, so it's fine, and you can make it work, and still it's better than making your own. So let's dig in and let's make a wiring harness for this truck. So this is, as I said, this was a cheap eBay kit, or Amazon I think sells the same. They come in 14 and I think 21 circuits. I always, for this, I order the one with the most circuits and extra long wires. That gives you a lot of material. The good thing on these kits is, like, it will come with the connector for the steering column, so that takes some out of your guesswork. And it is pre-wired on the ignition. So, but there's also a few things you need to watch depending on what you do. If you go fuel injection or so, you will have to make some modifications, otherwise you run into trouble. And yeah, I will hopefully go through my version how I do it. The next you need, or what I do, get a pressure switch or vacuum switch for the 700R4 for the lockup. It's kind of like what the old square bodies did. And this, in combination with the original brake switch, which has two levels. One is for the brake light, one is for the torque converter for the lockup. So if you press on the brake, or if you totally floor the pedal that the vacuum goes almost to zero, it will take your converter out of lockup, so you don't burn anything up. The next is a fan control. There are thousands of kits on there. What I don't like on these cheaper kits, nowhere you can see is this really 180 degrees, 170 degrees. You need mostly a lot of adapters, but yeah, you get what you pay for. Same on the gauges. You get a temperature sensor like this, so you really need to have to work a little to protect this and not damage it. And I don't know why they can't make it a little better. But again, you get what you pay for, and still you can make this work, since this truck doesn't need much, and you'll be left with a lot of extra material. And yeah, like I said, it will work. So one of the big things that is most important is always the planning. On this one, I don't want wires running here in the valley, because again, this is normally for the choke. There's like a heat element in it, and this area in the also has exhaust gases underneath in the intake manifold, so this is the part that gets hot. I also like my wires kind of hidden, so again, you kind of pre-plan where do you want to go. So I will most likely go on the side here in the fender, cross over on the front bar. Problem with my alternator, you want short runs for the alternator. Original on TBIs, it runs in here, and here are the brackets to keep the distance. This, we don't have this anymore. I know this will later have the heater, so I'm most likely the circuit breaker box will go in here. I will use one of these to come through, hide it a little underneath, and yeah, you still have the horn. You need to get in here for the lights. So again, you want to sit down, make like a mental plan where you want your wires and what is where, because that helps you already splitting all the wiring harness and go from there. As I said, this is one of the cheaper ones. This should be a 21 circuit long wire. What I like to do is going through what I got here and kind of pre-sorting what I want. So let's do this. They are kind of good arranged already. So this is your steering column, most likely. This will be like headlight. Okay, now we know. I need my glasses. This is so small printed, but whatever. Let's get a few things out of the way here. So, yeah, this will be our starter, incoming ignition. The problem on these sometimes is for a carb, it's fine. You only have a coil, will stay on if you go on ignition and you have accessories. But on Chevys, if you start what's called 15, which is your ignition, it will turn off while you crank to reduce the load on the batteries, that you have everything for the starter and for your ignition. So you really have to watch the ignition output here that is not marked coil. If you go with fuel injection and you put all your injectors and everything on that port, you will have a problem that the truck will not run and start, because you test it, you will have 15, you will have ignition on ignition, but while you start, ignition will turn off. So you really have to be careful on that one. It can take you a little out, and it'll take you a little time to figure this out. So yeah, this is all on the dash. Let's keep one strap in here. Same on these, on the fuses. It is pretty simple. If you want to follow it, you can. If you look behind, you kind of can see where they're all connected together. So this is the big red one, will be your straight 30, which is battery. So every time you connect your battery, these will have power always. So, and then there will be a coil, which is a single one. That's where it gets tricky. So yeah, every time you're not sure, this is not rocket science. If you look behind, you will see which are connected. And then there's the brown one. Here's an orange one going to this strip. And then you can follow it to your ignition switch that's on the steering column, so you get an idea what's going on here. Yes, let's cut more apart, get a better idea what we have. Always watch out that you don't cut the wires. That's what I'm kind of going with, how the wires are laid out. This is most likely front. So that's for the engine compartment. See, everything is wired, but also I haven't checked on this one. Often I see headlights is only one circuit or one fuse circuit breaker for both headlights, low and high. I'm used to wiring left and right, at least on low. So if you have a short in there, that you don't lose completely your headlights. Another loop. This is most likely inside, dome lights and stuff like that. Okay. Let me get my glasses. Let me pre-sort this a little, and I'll show you what I kind of prep, what I look through, and we start going through the process here. So what I'm basically doing is I'm going through all the circuits. That's why it's before really important that you mentally go through what do you want in this truck, where is it sitting, and then I weed out the stuff I don't need. So for example, this will be going to the steering column. I'm using the original S10, so that's where this comes in handy, because you can use these original connectors. So one of them is like, since you have stop and turn in the lights, this will feed to the column and then it will go out. So brake and turn will feed into the column. This wiring harness, for example, has a provision for a surge stop light. So I just cut it, insulate it here, and then I pull the wire for the surge out. So another one gone, less confusion. The same I already took out directly out of the box, out of this junction box. I know that I don't have electric door locks. I will not have power windows. So I take the wire completely out, so it sends out my wiring harness, and that's kind of like where I step by step go through this. And in the beginning it's a little intimidating if you have done it the first time, but after a while you get kind of like the idea of what's going on. Here, for example, power antenna, I don't have plans on the radio. This already goes aside. This is power window and power door locks. So, and it gets better and better the more you do this. And you also can follow the lines, so you see, does this even match what circuit breaker matches? Is there even a circuit breaker in it? Because some of these kits also, it's getting confusing what's going on and what went where. So it's the same like this one. Let's go take it out, and then we look it up. It says fuel pump here. So this one is for sure fuel pump. This here has nothing. nothing even written on it. So once you install this, you will be kind of left out what's going on. I assume this was like the override if you have fuel injection, which these kits are a little harder to do, and I would put the fuel injection completely aside. So another wire you don't need. What I do is kind of cut it off, insulate it, use good tape. Like I said, this is all pennies more, and if you buy a better harness, less work, less trust issues. But again, for a rat rod like this, you only have a few circuits. Your main thing you need is coil, and you want headlights and turn signals and a stoplight, which already on the 42 is not even mandatory, but since I got the lights in, so this is the only luxury. This goes on to dome lights. Let's see. Yeah, it even says dome light. Again, what do they put on here? Trunk light, so it's all the same. I do one wire to the back, and this is basically only that if I change my mind later, it's always nice to have one wire in there that you're like, okay, I got a spare in there, but you don't need 1,000 spares. If you have for the front and the rear and in the cap 1 or 2 circuits extra, like I said, this thing is 21 circuits. And what do you need? A headlight, high, low. So this is the weeded out. This will be a fuel pump, left and right, tail light, parking lights, fuel sender, and 1 extra. And then you have already this. So let's see next. Ugh, these glasses. I'm still not there to accept that I need glasses for this. I feel bad that I did aircraft wiring and now I'm having problem reading this. But I guess that's the time. So what do we have here? And yeah, some of these are really bad printed or missing AC compressor. So that will go under dash to the front. This is still not sure on this truck. Okay, let's put this here aside. This will be mostly power. Like the 30 side or the alternator side, which I also don't like on these kits. They let you run the alternator right onto this fuse box, and then if you look it up, this tiny strip here is connecting all of them. I use the original connector from the S10 that's on the firewall, and there you can put it together and then go from the starter or the battery, so that way you know you have power connected right. And I like my alternator a little oversized. So this is starter, which is mostly always pink, but like I said, I gotta trust issues with these kits sometimes. And I kind of feel like once you have one that you feel it's okay, you still don't know exactly are you getting the same brand again. Coil, ignition coil. Ignition coil is also shared. No, it's one. Okay, so there it is. Coil. That's the pink and that's the only one that will have power when you go all the way to start. So everything that's on ignition, don't go wrong there, it will not have power. So this is kind of how the chaos looks after I'm reading through it. Like I said, I'm kind of going through every circuit, and then I'm going by sections. So I hope this makes somehow sense. So this is basically for my gauge cluster. So this will be oil, turn signal, temperature, everything that goes to the cluster of power. So I separate that in one leg, then I took everything out that goes right behind the dash, which will be all these pre-crimped. That's my steering column, that will be left, right, high beam, low beam, horn. And then I got a few more here that will be, this one goes to the ignition switch. So this is all light. So I have my high low beam and my headlights, so parking light, headlight. So this is separate, this stays behind the dash. And then I have my engine section and front section. So this, because I will be starter and oil pressure will go off and coil will go off right behind the engine. And then this is what will be routing to the front, where it's like some of the engine stuff plus headlights plus turn signals are in here, and this will be the harness that goes to the back. So that's my tail lights, my electric fuel pump. I have it all on the same side. So I took like radio out, electric windows, electric door locks. The only that is kind of like, I could have taken it out, but I'm not sure. I have a line in for AC compressor, and I got a line in for the wipers, which I'm not sure what I do on the wipers. I kind of like the vacuum, but I know they suck, so I will see if I go all the way to convert to electric. And I'm always keeping one line in, which is the radio line now, for power if I want to power something else. Fan switch, the same is in this one. So kind of I got my pre-packed here, and from there I start then going, put in the front, put in the rear, and starting the sections, which, yeah, you start easily at the ignition switch, that's already there. Then you can set up the column, and then slowly light switch, dimmer. The only problem, like what they don't show, the lights for the gauge cluster is not in there, so that's an extra line you need to put in from your dimmer switch. This is kind of like set up for a foot switch, and you already have that. I already have that in my steering column, so I need to change that. And the horn, they put a relay in here, Same for the fan. I need to still do that, but I'm starting on this, that I have an idea. I find now the position for this block, which most likely will be in the center. Then I wire the switches and get the two main harnesses out of the way. Then it's already yeah, way easier to see where this is going. But I always like to go through it. Like I said, don't be afraid. There is only, you have battery power that's always connected. You have 15, which is like your ignition. When you turn the switch into a ignition position, there's accessories, and you have start, which doesn't go through the fuse box. So if you look always behind here, you can see the ones that have jumpers in it. That's the feed lines, and the ones on the other side, that's going to your sources like headlights and everything. What I don't like, as I said, headlight, it's one fuse. That's kind of cheap, and yeah, you kind of have to watch what you're doing. Some fuses are laid up double. The same, the line for the alternator, I wouldn't use it that it goes into the fuse box. I would go, the main power for the alternator go right on the starter or on the battery, whatever is easier to reach, with a good size wire. And then these I would just use together as power supply for this panel. Well, that's my way to do it. I just don't, you end up with a long run, and for that this is too small of wire.
Swagger down the street with your red lips and funky beat. You better hold your head up to the sky. I'm gonna roll with you till the day I die.
So yeah, this was a little spoiler. The truck already runs. The videos are a little behind to where I really are, but I'm getting closer to be ready for Vegas. The video already got pretty long, so I will cut it off here, and then on the next video I will show the details how I made the dash. Again, I used a cheaper kit, and yeah, everybody has to decide on their own if this is right or if you pay more for a setup kit, but I show how I did this one. I also think I need to go into detail how I do the torque converter lockup. There's a lot of what I think very expensive kits, and I show you how I did it with less money. Same on the fan relay kits or the fan temperature kits that are out there. I think there's for beginners there are some mistakes that should be shown. How again, this is how I do it. The truck runs so far. It's getting now into window and headlights and stuff like that, the details. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. And next time comes the detail on the cluster and torque converter clutch, fan relays. Maybe I put some of the windows and we'll see. And then I'm ready to take it out and we see a first drive. So thank you for watching again. This was a little more into details and just wiring. So if you're not into it, sorry, but for everybody else, I hope it helps a little how I do it. And the same, if somebody shows me how they do it, I would appreciate it. So again, thank you for watching and see you on the next one.